welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know, my name is Yanika, and unless you've been living under a rock or living in your house and not watching the news, then you probably already know that Congress and Trump signed this $2 trillion coronavirus stimulus package. And so today I wanted to go over some of the things that's in this package because I think there's a lot of misinformation going around. So, I did my own little research and I will go over some of the things that are in this package, especially for us as individuals, and how it will affect us. So what's this $1,200 check everyone's going crazy about? They keep talking about it. The bill included $250 billion to go to individual, and that includes a $1,200 check to everyone who makes under $75K in the past year or two, I guess. So if you made less than $75K in 2019 and you already filed your tax return, they're going to use that return. However, if you've not yet filed your 2019 return, then they're going to use your 2018 return. And that's how they're going to determine if you are eligible for this $1,200 check. I'm pretty sure most people will be eligible. I think they said about 90% of tax-paying Americans are eligible for this check. Now, if you make over $75,000, then it starts to phase out. And phase out is basically a tax term that says, oh, if you make up to such amount, then you'll get a reduction in the amount that you receive. So as far as this bill goes, for every $100 you make above $7,500, they're going to reduce the amount that you get by $5. Now once you get to a $99,000 income level, then it completely phases out and you get nothing. Now if you're married and file jointly, then it goes up to $150K and you and your spouse will get $2,400. Also included in this is that if you have children, you'll receive $500. And by children, I mean kids under 17. One of the things I keep hearing about this is that you're gonna get taxed on it, As far as what I've seen, you will not be taxed on this money. This is tax-free. And I think how they have it is that it'll be a credit that you could claim on your 2020 tax return, so you'll not get taxed on it. I don't know where that rumor came from, but if from all the sites that I've been on, that I've read, like, it's completely tax-free, so you don't have to worry about taxes on this money. And as far as taxes go, this is just a side note, this is not a part of the package, but taxes were extended to July 15th. So normally taxes will be due April 15th, but if you haven't already filed yet, then you have until July 15th to file your taxes. Now they claim to be talking about trying to send this check out in 3 weeks. I highly doubt you're gonna get this check in 3 weeks, you guys, so please do not be sitting around depending on this check in 3 weeks, making plans for this check in 3 weeks. Don't do that. Continue your life as if you were not receiving this check, and then when you get the money, it's a bonus. You can use it to pay off something, you can use it to do whatever you want, invest. If you're at that point in life, like, you can use this money to do whatever it is that you want with it, but please do not be stupid with it. Make sure that, as you're planning for this money, just plan wisely and use it wisely. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about is student loan payment. Now, as you know, I think it was like 2 weeks ago that Trump stopped interest on student loan payments. Well, now in the package, student loan payments in general got extended if you want it to be extended. I mean, you can continue to pay if you have the means to, but if not, then your student loans will be extended until September 30th. So you don't have to make any payments until September 30th if you're affected by the virus or whatever the case may be. Now this only works for federal loans. So if you have private loans, state loans, it doesn't count, because I personally have a Perkins loan that I got through my school when I was in college. I owe like $7,000 on it right now. And so when I went on their site though, they were talking about, the interest thing doesn't count for this because this is through the state. And I was like, what? Like, I thought it was a federal loan. See what I'm talking about? They don't be telling you this stuff when you're in college. They don't tell you nothing. Anyways, it's through the state. So basically, my interest will keep accruing on this loan. But I also have a loan through Nelnet, and that one, the interest stopped. So I just decided I'm just throwing all the money at this Perkins because I plan to have it paid off by June anyway. So that's what I've been doing. So if you have private loans or state loans or whatever the case may be, make sure that you're paying on those because the interest did not stop. Now, if let's say you're struggling or whatever the case may be, I do think that they have remedies to work out payments or anything if you know you're having a hard time. But if you're not having a hard time, just make sure that you're making your payments and you know try to get rid of as much debt as possible. Like now is the time, if any, to be debt free. Now, as far as what it means when they say they're extending your payments to September, is that if you were getting garnishments or the IRS were taking money from your checks, whatever the case may be regarding your student loan payments, you don't have to worry about that anymore. They cannot garnish your checks for student loan payments. The IRS can't take money for you. They can't reduce your taxes or anything like that for student loan payments. So none of that can happen until they start back up the payments. And then as far as the lenders go, starting August 1st, they have to notify you that your payment will become due whenever it becomes due again. And they have to send you at least 6 notifications. So make sure you look out for that if you are gonna use the route of extending your student loans. And it doesn't mean that you're not gonna have to pay on it. All it means is that your loan will be pushed back 6 months. So if you were supposed to finish paying it off January 2021, then you won't be paying it off till July 2021 if you push it back. So please keep that in mind. All I'm saying is if you're able to make the payments and don't sit around you know, necessarily waiting on the government to help you. I do think that if they do revisit the issue and say they're gonna, you know, pay down some student loan debt, I honestly do not think that they're gonna pay off all your student loan debt. If you owe like 100K, they're not gonna pay off all of that. I do think it's possible that they could possibly pay off, let's say $5,000 or $10,000 of each person's student loan debt, but I don't really think that it's going to happen. But I think if they were supposed to do something like that, it would only be partial. So I don't want people sitting around expecting that their student loan is going to be wiped clean. Like, it's your debt, so just make sure that you're prepared to pay it. Normally, if your employment pays back some of your student loans, you'll have to include it in your income. However, with the bill that just passed, you're not required to include that up to $5,250 of that into your income. Now, another thing included in the package is for your retirement accounts. As you know, retirement accounts dipped a lot because I have a Roth through my job, and back in February when I checked it, it was at like 12% earnings, right? It was earning 12%. And then once the virus stuff started going on and I checked it one more time, it was at negative 7%. So it dropped a lot. However, I mean, I'm not too sweating about it because I had like less than 10,000 in it anyway. So I'm not sweating about it. You know, when you're young, you don't necessarily have to be too worried about that because, you know, the stock market usually recovers. However, if you're older and you're at that retirement age where you know at a certain age you have to start taking some minimum distribution on your 401k. They've set it to where you don't have to take that minimum distribution because they know that the accounts are down right now. So people who already have a nice emergency fund and already have money on and cash on hand, they don't want to withdraw from their retirement account right now, because you're basically losing money at this point. But you can just let it sit there until the market recovers, so you don't have to take that minimum distribution. However, this does not count for like old-fashioned type pensions, so it only really works for the 401ks. Another thing included in the bill for retirement account is that you can withdraw up to 100K without that 10% penalty. So if you don't know how retirement accounts work, is that you're not able to withdraw before 59 and a half without a 10% penalty unless under special circumstances. However, for most people who are just taking money out just to be using it for whatever, then you get that 10% penalty on top of the tax that you get if you have a 401k. Now what they've done is that you can take up to 100K out without that 10% penalty, and then you can pay it back over 3 years. So you can put it back into the account over 3 years. Now that's a very dangerous thing to tell people. It's very dangerous because right now the markets are down, so your retirement accounts are down. If you withdraw money right now and you don't put it back in, you've done lost a whole lot of money. Like the only really people who lose money from their retirement account, in my opinion, is people who withdraw when the markets are down. So it's a very dangerous thing to tell people. I highly doubt that most people are gonna be able to put back, if they take out $10,000. I doubt that a lot of people who are having to take that money out is going to be able to put it back in within 3 years, simply because they could be struggling right now, which is why they're withdrawing it in the first place. So I think it's a dangerous thing. However, that option is there if you're going through a hard time right now. You're able to just withdraw money from your retirement account, without that 10% penalty. If you have a regular 401k, then you'll get your regular tax, but you won't get the 10% tax. If you have a Roth, then you won't get that regular tax since you already technically paid tax on it, and then you also won't get that 10% tax. So I don't recommend taking the money out right now. The markets are down, like I said, so don't take your money out unless you're about to go bankrupt or something. Otherwise, do not take that money out, you guys. Let your account recover before you go taking money out. Okay, so the other big thing included in this package is protection against forbearance and eviction. If you're facing hardship right now, you're able to put your mortgage into forbearance for 60 days. One thing I'm not 100% clear on is if at the end of the 60 days they're gonna charge you 3 months, or if they're just gonna tack that on to the end of your mortgage. I do think they're gonna just tack it on to the end of your mortgage. I'm sure you could work out with your lender. However, if you're able to make payments on your mortgage, you guys, do not stop making payments on your mortgage just because you can put it into forbearance, because all you're doing is prolonging paying it back. Like it's not necessary if you're able to pay it. This is really just for people who are really facing some hard times. They lost their job, they're not able to work right now, maybe they have the virus and not able to work, and their unemployment check hasn't come back in yet. So if you're not going through those things right now, don't stop doing what you're doing. Don't stop paying your bills. Don't stop doing none of that. There's no fees, penalties, or additional interest due to you putting this mortgage in forbearance. Now, if you're a landlord and you have federally backed mortgages, then you're not able to evict tenant. Now, if you're a tenant, do note that private landlords may be able to evict you. I think at least in LA County, no one's able to evict anyone right now. But you know, in other places it might be different. So make sure that you know, if you're thinking about not paying your rent for whatever reason, like make sure that you do your research before you go not paying rent, before you go doing all this stuff. Like I said, unless you're like lost your job, not getting paid, any unemployment right now, or you know, really on hard times, like do not stop paying your bills. Do not stop, you know, doing things how you were doing it. Another thing in the bill is a boost to unemployment benefits. So basically the federal government will send an additional $600 per week for unemployment on top of whatever it is that you receive through the state. And I think through the state you can get anywhere from $250 to like $6 something, depending on the state that you live in. Now on top of that, you'll also get $600 from the government. So they put this in to help those who become unemployed. That way, you know, you'll still be receiving a check. I think they also extended the time for unemployment. So normally it's like 6 months, but they added on an additional 13 weeks. So, you know, there's a lot of resources out there, you know, if you're struggling right now, if you just lost your job. So don't just be down about it. You know, apply for unemployment and get that money. Now for the unemployment, what they added to the bill as well is to include independent contractors and self-employed and, you know, the gig economy workers. So if you work, you know, like if you work independently, you're also eligible to get this $600 unemployment check. As far as your insurance coverage, it requires that all private insurance companies, it requires all coronavirus tests and treatments be completely free. So your insurance can't charge you for it. Other little things in the bill. Now, as far as how I feel about the bill, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I see a lot of people being upset about them giving money to businesses. But the thing that people don't realize is a lot of these businesses, they pay taxes too. I mean, they might not pay as much as you think that they should pay, but these businesses pay taxes just like us as individuals. That's why there's people who specialize in corporate and partnership and S corps and all that good stuff. They specialize in doing taxes for businesses. So I'm not gonna say the businesses don't deserve funding. However, I think that individuals should have gotten more funding. Whether it's if they wanted to just wipe out some of the student debt, or if, you know, giving people a little bit more money. I feel like $1,200 is just not a lot of money. That don't even cover my rent. Okay, first of all, I'm waiting for California to come out with a stimulus package. All the taxes I pay in California, they need to come out with a stimulus package, because if you live out here, like, that $1,200 is like nothing. Now, of course, I'm thankful for it because they could have given nothing, but I just think that it's kind of a slap in the face, especially if you live in a more expensive state. It's just kind of really just a slap in the face. Like, it's not even covering bills. Like, so I think that they could have did better for individuals. I do think that businesses deserve to get something, and I like that they included the no stock buybacks for businesses. Overall, I think it's a decent package. I'm curious to see what else they're gonna do to assist. I feel like they're assisting these airlines. First of all, they should have 3 months emergency fund, just like we have to have emergency fund. The fact that some of these businesses are talking about they can't survive a month without funding, like, that's ridiculous. Like, that is ridiculous. That means that their business was not being ran correctly in the first place. At least financially, they were not running correctly. They're probably paying the higher ups too much, and You know, I mean, nothing's wrong with paying the higher ups a lot if you have something set in place to cover at least 1 month of you know, expenses if your business is shut down. Like, you mean to tell me these places can cover 1 month of expenses? That's ridiculous. Like, I think this just shows how sad some of these businesses are, and not all businesses are operating this way, but the businesses that are operating to where you can't survive, like 1 month of just a shutdown, like you can't pay your employees or nothing like that for 1 month. Ridiculous. Like, you're doing a horrible job of running your business, and shit, in my opinion, you deserve to get shut down. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, like I said, overall decent package. I am expecting more for individuals. I feel like I pay too much taxes to be getting $1,200. But anyways, make sure that you drop any comments or questions you have down below, and you know, I'll try to answer it as best as I can. You can also send me a private message to my email. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.